today, but unfortunately they postponed and changed my date to April 22nd. So that's supposed to be the real official date of jury duty. You got to do orientation, and then if they pick me, then I have to work on a court case that could last maybe a week, 2 weeks. The longest that anyone be on a court case is past 3 weeks, which is up to a month. So it's 50-50 if I actually work on a court case or not. It's probably most likely not, but never say never. If I say I'm never going to be on a juror, then you're on a juror. If I say I'm going to be on a juror, then the answer is you're not on a juror. Now, this YouTube video, depending if the camera don't cut off, it's going to be another episode of Sex Talk 101, episode 64. And this one is going to be helping you nice guys, because some guys that are nice guys are good guys. They still don't understand why some women say, I just want to be friends. So I kind of have to break down the video. I kind of have to break down the math and the science on why beautiful, attractive women, or should I say 80% of women reject 80% of the men, and explain to you why when a woman opens her mouth and say, I just want to be friends, what does that really mean for you as a man? And how you can tell that the girl is either doing a shit test, playing mind games, or she just don't find you physically, sexually attractive. Because a lot of you nice guys out there, you have a hard time trying to figure out why this woman isn't paying you any attention, and why when you try something it fails and it never succeeds. And you need somebody like me on YouTube to explain it to you anyway, because I have a decade of experience and insight on how most women are. So I could tell you universally how this really hurts men. And it don't matter if you're a black man, a white man, a Mexican man, or if you're an Asian man. It doesn't matter if you're from Russia, Germany, Paris, France, London, England. I don't care if you're from planet Mars. I don't care if you're from planet Vegeta. Yes, I said Vegeta. It doesn't matter what alien planet you're from, a man is a man. If a man's got 4 arms, he's still a man. If a man likes to have sex with alien women from off of Star Trek, he's still a man. So now that we cover that, let's get into the video subjects. Because I don't know if this video is going to cut off after 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, or 20 minutes. So with the time I got left, I want to make sure this video is worth the time. Now, anytime a woman, doesn't matter if it's a black woman, a white woman, a Latino woman, or an Asian woman, doesn't matter if she's a foreign woman here in America, about 80 to 85% of women have this tendency that if they don't find you physically, sexually attractive, she'll reject you, and then because she knows it'll hurt your feelings, she has to do something called the friend zone. Now, when I say the friend zone, it's a term that gets used on the internet 90% of the time. Now, every man has their own definition of what the friend zone is. I'm not giving you a definition. I'm giving you the definition 99.999%. Whenever a woman say, I want to be friends, you're being disqualified for being her mate. See, when you're born into this world, when you're born into this society, you as a man have a job that's expected of you. Your job isn't just to get a house, a car, and a job and make some money. Your #1 primary job as a man is to fall in love, have sex, get a woman pregnant, have kids, and have grandkids, and create your legacy, and your legacy is supposed to be your last name. That's what your purpose and primary objective as a man is. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, that is your primary objective as a man. Now, when a woman rejects you, she is putting your male biology, your male imperative, she is putting it into great danger. Because every time you get rejected, it's always based off of something. Well, you're too short, you're too fat, you're ugly, you don't have a house, you don't have a car, you don't play basketball and football, or you're not rich and famous, or I just don't find you physically, sexually attractive. So when a woman see a man that's short, he automatically gets disqualified because he's too short. And most women are like this. If I have to date a man that's between 5 feet to 5'7", what are my friends and my girlfriends at work and at school is going to say if I get a man that's too short? I'm going to get laughed at. I'm going to get teased. I'm going to get publicly humiliated because I'm basically dating a man that is 5 feet to 5'7". So I'm going to reject him because he's too short. Even though it might hurt his feelings, I have to reject him and put him in the friend zone. Then there's, well, he's fat. Well, he could be 200 pounds, 300 pounds, 400 pound overweight. Why would I want to introduce you to my parents and my grandparents? You know what I'm supposed to tell my parents and my grandparents? I'm supposed to tell my mother and father, my grandmother and my grandfather. He don't go to 24-hour fitness. He don't go to LA Fitness. He doesn't go to the gym. He doesn't do cardio and weight training. He doesn't eat his fruits and vegetables. He doesn't drink water. He's not healthy. So if you're a man that's 200 pounds overweight or 300 pounds or 400 pound overweight, 90% of the time, you're going to face rejection. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, just because you're 200 pounds, 300 pounds, or even 400 pound overweight. Yeah, it's a painful reality. Life's a bitch. It sucks. I know I used to be overweight. Now I have the body of a bodybuilder and a personal trainer, but the point is, if you're too short, you're going to get rejected. You're too fat, you're going to get rejected. How about this one? This is my personal favorite one. You just don't play sports. You don't play basketball and football. So since you play basketball and football, I can't deal with someone that don't play sports. You might say, well, maybe I'm not a basketball or football player. So now you get rejected because she finds men that play sports physically, sexually attractive, so now you got to get rejected because of that. Or you are not rich and famous, so I got to reject you. Then you have some women that you ain't got to be rich and famous, and you ain't got to play sports, but you do got to have a house, a car, and a job. You ain't got no car, rejection. You ain't got no house or no apartment, rejection. Well, you ain't got no job, rejection. Now, that's stuff as a man you can understand. But I know a lot of you men are going to say, I know what you're going to say before you say it, well, I got 2 jobs, I got 3 jobs, so why I'm still getting rejected? Well, I made a YouTube video on this YouTube channel like about 3.5 months ago, and the very first episode on this YouTube channel was called Don't Ever Listen to a Woman's Words, Pay Attention to Her Actions. Her words might say one thing, but her actions are going to say something completely different. And a lot of times as a man, it don't matter if you have 2 jobs, 3 jobs, hell, you can have 4 jobs. And 90% of the time, a woman will find some way, somehow, some way, to still reject you and still disqualify you. Just so you know, that's what rejection really is. It's disqualifying you from an opportunity of being a mate to a woman. You could have 2 jobs or 3 jobs, a house or an apartment and a car, and somehow, some way, 90% of the time, she's going to try to find some way to disqualify you, to reject you. And that's very painful. Now, let's look at the friend zone as a cross between going to jail and playing sports. You ever watch professional basketball or football or baseball and you see players that sit the bench? You can always tell that those guys are frustrated that they've played professional basketball for 3 seasons, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 NBA seasons, and for 9 years that they've been on a professional basketball team, they never come in the basketball game and they never play basketball. You know, they sit the bench and they complain to the coach, well, coach, I come to practice on time. I come to practice 3 to 4 times a week. I've been playing basketball for 9 years. I practice in the gym. I practice when we're here. I practice on the off season. When you gonna put me in the basketball game and let me play to show you that I can play at a high competitive level? And the coach says the same thing that all coaches say. Show me some hard work and dedication. Show me that you're serious, and I might let you play 25, 30, 40 minutes a basketball game. I'm gonna put you in the first quarter for 5 minutes. But you're not gonna play the second quarter or the third quarter. But I might let you play the fourth quarter for 5 minutes, and if you're lucky, I might let you play 10 to 15 minutes in the fourth quarter. You ever seen when the Golden State Warriors blow a basketball team out by 25 to 30 points, and you see a guy coming again and score 10 points, and he's happy and excited? Well, that's the basketball player that the coaches reject 90% of the time. If it's football, that guy doesn't even get off the bench unless the best football player gets hurt, or they're in the playoffs and they need someone to come in the game for at least 5 to 10 minutes of a quarter, so they bring that guy in the football game. And you always hear the commentators say, well, this guy, number 45, has never been in a playoff game in his career of being with this football team. He's been on this team for 5 NFL seasons, but he's never actually played in the playoffs, and this is his debut in the playoffs. Well, that's a nice way of saying that the only time he plays is in practice. Now, let's look at a way of that. Most of us, 90% of the time, what are we to women? We are the guys that complain in the basketball team that the only time you let me play, coach, is in practice. I get 25, 30 minutes in practice, but in an actual professional basketball game of the NBA playoffs, doesn't matter if it's the first round, second round, third round, or the finals, I only get 5 minutes a quarter. So if I play all 4 quarters, that's only 5 minutes of playing time a quarter. Why stars like Michael Jordan is getting 30, 40, 45 minutes of playing time, I get 5 minutes of playing time. Now I'm about to give you the biggest shock that you've heard in your entire life. This is something that they didn't want to tell you in high school. They didn't want to tell you this in college. They lied to you about 90% of the time in high school and college and never tell you the fucking truth. That is, when you first get a job, most women, 90% of the time, they're going to just look at you as an average man that works at a job. Let's say you work at McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box. Let's say you work at Foot Locker. Let's say you work at a shoe store. 90% of the time, the women are just going to see you as a guy that works there. So when you say, well, let's get a cup of coffee, or let's go hang out, or let's go to lunch or dinner, or I like to hang out with you outside of work. As soon as you say those things, I promise you 99.99% of the time, the woman is most likely going to say either, I don't know about that. You know, I got 2 jobs, I got 3 jobs. Translation, I'm not interested. I don't find you physically, sexually attractive, but if you want to be friends, we can do that. Translation, you're in the friend zone. And a lot of times, you don't have to say nothing or do nothing wrong 90% of the time, and the woman will just automatically place your ass in the friend zone. Sounds rude and disrespectful, right? Because it is rude and disrespectful. And a lot of times when you start bitching and complaining 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to other men, they're either going to say one or 2 things. What the fuck are you going to do about it? Or stop bitching and complaining. That's usually what happens to a lot of us. And I'm giving you cases on how you can tell you're being put in the friend zone. Now, a lot of guys think that just because they get conversations from women, that somehow qualifies them to get into a chance to date her. Well, if a woman is just talking to you at work, it's because it's an 8-hour shift, 10, 15, 20-hour shift in a week. She's probably done 20 to 30 hours, and she's bored, and she wants someone to talk to. And because you got, I don't know, you work 2 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week, or 5 times a week, which is 40 hours, you think that because y'all been talking about movies and television shows, and you think that because you've been talking about the newest movie that come out, you think you created some type of chemistry. Yes and no. Because, again, she only still see you as a guy that just works at her job. And then if you try to give her some love letters, some love notes. You even try to entertain the idea of sexual behavior, you're going to find yourself in the H&R office a total of 3 to 4 times. And they're going to probably say some shit like, well, we got a complaint against you because you've been trying to entertain the idea of sex to this woman, and that's rude and disrespectful. And that is sexual conduct behavior, and we don't allow that on the job. And, you know, if you try to talk back or talk smart, or you try to explain yourself, keep explaining yourself, and one day you come in the office and they give you your final paycheck. Bye-bye, see your ass later. Does that sound familiar to a lot of you men? Does that sound painfully fucking familiar? You know why? Because it is. Now, when you realize that, you're in the friend zone. And you'll hear YouTubers like O'Shea Do Jackson tell you, once you're inside the friend zone, there is no getting out. Now, for the most part, he is absolutely right. But then again, O'Shea Do Jackson is wrong. There actually is ways to get out of the friend zone. That is, don't ever mention to a woman that you want to take her out to lunch and dinner, or even entertain the idea. So if you ever conversate, you got to learn the rules. If you notice that most women don't ask you out to lunch and dinner from work, or if she don't entertain, hang out, or have coffee, you shouldn't be doing it. Because what you'll find out is when you do it, the woman thinks 90% of the time you're desperate. She thinks you cannot function or survive in a system without women. So therefore, you get rejected 90% of the time at work. Oh, how about this one? This is my favorite one. You think that because you're at the gym at 24 Hour Fitness or LA Fitness or Gold's Gym, you still think that because the girl goes to the same gym you work out at, you still think you got a shot. Well, I'm here to tell you, no, actually you don't. Just because y'all work out at the same gym and you're trying to get in athletic shape, she's trying to get in athletic shape, you think you got a shot, but you don't. Because as soon as you start saying you want to get a cup of coffee after we work out, you think we can sit down for lunch after we done cardio and weight training, as soon as you do that, she's gonna hit you with that, no, I'm good, I'm not interested. Translation, I don't find you physically, sexually attractive, and I don't see you as a potential partner mate. And then you're put in the friend zone. You try to do it 2 weeks later, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later, and just like at work, you may not have an H&R department at the gym. Problem is, you're going to have a manager or an assistant manager bring you up to the front desk, bring you in a nice little private office and tell you, well, you know, we've been getting complaints by other customers, other people that work out at the gym, that you keep disturbing her workout, and I'm here to tell you that you got your final warning, and if it happens again, we're gonna terminate your gym membership, and you're probably not gonna be working out here no more. So then you get told that, so now you really can't really do shit at the gym either. So when these morons make these YouTube videos talking about the gym is the new nightclub, no, it's not. What it is women only take an interest in guys at the gym that she finds physically, sexually attractive. And you may not be that guy. You may think you're that guy because you work out at the gym, but you're not. And it ain't until you find this out how painful. Now, let's talk about why I say in life that if you want something, you're going to have to fight for it. Now, let's get to why I say you nice guys have to see the signs. Now, the reason why I use sports, because it's easy to explain the problem. Baseball. You know how many guys want to go to the bat and knock the ball out of the park and get recognized for making a home run in baseball? Because it symbolizes the opportunity that they might be a star on the baseball team. Remember when LeBron James, I don't know, played 7 seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers? He lost in the NBA Finals against Tim Duncan and them San Antonio Spurs of 2007. And he lost all 4 straight games. And then it happened again in 2010. And then he did the most controversial thing that no one thought he would do. I'm taking my talents to Miami South Beach and people shit their pants and was an outrage of anger. Well, you know why LeBron James did that? Because LeBron James was in the friend zone. Every time LeBron tried to go past the third round and go to the NBA Finals, there was always something or someone to stop him and get in his way. And when he realized that he was never going to ever get an NBA championship, he had to now do something about the situation. Every year, LeBron complained, they don't want me to win a title. They don't want me to do this. They don't want me to do that. And you know what they told LeBron James behind the scenes? They told LeBron James, you got two choices. Bitch and complain 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, or actually fucking do something about it. And LeBron James finally fucking done something about it. I take my talents to Miami South Beach. And you kind of already know what happened after that. You know, I'm going to burn his jersey. He left Cleveland. He went to Miami. Now, of course, he lost the 2011 NBA Finals. And it wasn't until 2012 and 2013 he won back-to-back championships. Of course, Ray Allen helped him out win that second championship. My point is, LeBron James was in the friend zone. Who's another basketball player that found themselves in the friend zone and didn't like it? Kevin Durant, right? Everyone talks about how you won 2 NBA championships with the Golden State Warriors because you couldn't win by yourself. Well, Kevin Durant was in the friend zone. For a long time, Kevin Durant cried about, when am I going to win a championship? When is it going to be my turn? Guess what? He figured it out. I might as well just go to the Golden State Warriors and win a title with them since I can't do it with Oklahoma City Thunder. And you see the reaction of Russell Westbrook. Oh, he's a traitor. Oh, he's a coward. He a punk. He ran away and left us. He didn't want to fight it out. You see, that's what happens when you're in the friend zone. And you get told you got two choices. You either do something about it or you keep complaining. And you see, a lot of guys don't figure that out until it's 5 years later, 10 years later. You got some cases where guys like this one girl, they call it one-itis. It happens to all of us. It happens to the best of us. And we like this one girl for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5. And then you got some special cases where it can last 10 years. There are stories in the news media where you hear them say, this man and this woman were best friends for 10 years, and 10 years later, they finally got married and had their first child. Now, to me and you, that sounds like a nice, happy Hollywood ending, but in reality, what it was is, for 10 years, he was in the friend zone, and he could not figure out how to become physically, sexually attractive to the woman. So he thought, well, maybe one day she might give me my opportunity. And he realized that he didn't know how to get out of the friend zone. And you see, this happens to a lot of men. That's why I said there's cases where it lasts 5 years. It lasts 10 years. Hell, you got some cases where it can last 15 years. And you see, when you do that, and you complain, a lot of people will say, well, why are you stuck on one girl? Why are you keep focusing on one girl? Now I know what you're going to say, well, I don't want to go talk to other girls because I have a fear that other women might do it. And guess what? You're absolutely right. So you go talk to girl number 2, girl number 3, girl number 4, girl number 5. Before you know it, you talk to 10 women in 10 years, and they all reject you and they all put you in the friend zone. And you're trying to figure out what I got to do to stop getting put in this friend zone. I did everything right that I was supposed to do, and I still get put in the friend zone. They say you need to get a job, I got a job. They say you need 2 jobs, I got 2 or 3 jobs, and it's still, I'm not interested. And see, what you don't understand and what you don't get, women like to see what the hell they can get away with. And if a woman see that if she can get away with putting you in the friend zone for 5 years, 10 years, or even 15 years, worst case scenario, a lot of times that woman will go off and have sex with basketball players, football players, rock stars, rappers, R&B singers, And while you being stupid and naive, thinking that, okay, I've been friends for 5 years, she would never do that to me. Or I've been her best friend for 10 years or 15 years, she would never do that to me. Oh, yes, she is. You just not going to be around when she does it. And then when you get people laughing at you and making fun of you, they laugh and make fun of you because they don't understand how could you go 5 years or 10 years or a little past 10 years being her best friend, knowing that she brags to you about how great the sex was. She talks about how the guy fucked her in the butt a total of 3 times, how she gave the guy some great head. You know, she talked about how she did double black flips on Chad and Tyrone, how she blew the whole entire football team, the whole entire basketball team, how she got to mess with the film director on the set of a big Hollywood budget film, how she got to hang out with the rock stars at a rock concert live on stage, how she got drunk and faded and put it on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. She brags all of that shit to you as a nice guy or as a good guy. But you're her friend for 5 years. You're her friend for 10 years. You're her friend for 15 years. And you complain to other men, and all the other men look at you and say you got 2 choices. Either fucking do something about it, or bitch and complain 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year about the problem. And most men just rather talk about it. By the time the man gets between the ages of 30 to 35 years old, that's when he starts to all of a sudden move on. That's when he just now realizes all this being friends, it didn't pay off. It didn't get me nowhere. And you see, that's because there's a thing called politics. Politics as in the girl did that because she wanted to see if she can get away with something. You know that old saying, some people use your kindness for weakness? And they say, don't be a pushover. Don't let somebody punk or bully you. Well, a lot of times if a woman feels like that you're too nice, that if you're too naive and stupid, a woman will take 100% full advantage of that, and she'll do it for a very long time. And if it's 5 years, she'll do it for 5 years. If it's 10 years, she'll do it for 10 years. And if it's a worst case scenario, she'll do it for 15 years. And by the time you realize she's been doing it for almost 2 decades, she'll probably have that look on her face like, you dumb son of a bitch. You just now realize that I've been doing this to you that whole entire time. You just now came to the realization that I've just done it. Now, you might say, well, now that you explain the phenomenon of it, how do I get from a friendship to a relationship? See, the first stage of a relationship is actually being friends. The problem with being friends with a girl is that it's highly overrated. Because the purpose of being friends is to one day graduate from a friendship to a relationship, and from a friendship to ultimately marriage. And when you've been stuck at stage 1, think of it as playing a video game. You've been at stage 1 for 5 years or 10 years. At some point, you have to advance and graduate to the next level. And when you find out that she ain't going to give you what you want, at some point, you have to move on. At some point, you have to do the one thing you don't want to do. Because by the time she approaches the ages of 30 to 35 years old and she hit that wall, now all of a sudden she want to take it to the next level. Problem is, you've been cheated out of a golden opportunity for so long that you don't want to go to the next level because you already know her good and bad habits. You already know the person. Now for the answer. You know how some guys just break the rules? You know how some guys just don't follow the rules? They say, well, if you don't, you'll hear a girl say it, if you don't stop talking to that other girl, I ain't gonna talk to you no more. And that guy will actually ignore the girl and go talk to 5 or 10 other girls. But he can get that girl. You do it and the girl will go, oh, you cheating on me? I thought we was friends. I thought we was cool. She's basically doing a variation of a shit test and mind games. And she's trying to see if you're going to actually do what you say you're going to. See, a lot of times you have to actually be willing to do the one thing you don't want to do. Even if it's scary and terrifying to you, you have to do it. Like, You might say, but I like this girl. And then some guys might tell you, you might have to get out of your fear of liking a girl and having to piss the girl off. Because sometimes when you do that, that's when the girl respects you. See, women only respect men who figure out the politics. Women only respect men who figure out, okay, this bitch is bullshit. This bitch is playing games. She thinks I'm going to let her just get away with shit. Alright, I'm going to call this bitch out on her shit. See, women actually respect men that call them out on their bullshit. Men who don't call women out on their bullshit, they disrespect them 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And if you're scared of actually calling someone out on their bullshit, then they take an advantage of you because they know you're scared and they know you're afraid to move on because you don't think you're going to find a better female. A lot of times women want to see, can you get other women besides me? And a lot of times guys don't like that because the minute they go talk to another girl, she goes off and talks to another guy. And the guy can't seem to stand the fact that it's easy for her to talk to 5 guys, 10, 20, 30, 40 guys in 10 years or in 15 years. But you are afraid, what happens if you go talk to other females? Will she still like me? That's a #1 fear we have. We're afraid of, what if I go talk to another girl? She may not like me. Even if that is the reality, even if that's the truth, you might have no choice but to do that, because if you don't, then the problem that you create for yourself in the future is that you will always have this problem that every time you meet a girl, you're afraid to move on. And you see, if a girl shits tests you or plays mind games 90% of the time, which they will, doesn't matter if the woman's high class, middle class, low class, 90% of the time they're going to make you take a shit test or a mind game, and you're not going to be aware of what they're doing. And they're not going to open their mouth and tell you, I'm giving you a shit test. I'm not giving, I'm playing my, they're not going to tell you that. Because if they tell you that, then you're not going to participate. So 90% of the time they succeed at beating us because we're not even aware of what they're doing. And that's why I said by the time it's 10 years later or 15 years later, you just now realize what has happened to you. A lot of people laugh at you and make fun of you because they can't believe it took you that long to figure out what the hell has happened to you. So when guys be saying why I'm in the friend zone or why a woman said let's be friends, basically the woman is doing it because she want to see what she can get away with. And when you're at work, the reason why 90% of the time men get rejected at work by beautiful, attractive women is primarily because the woman feel like you must be her only choice. And a woman don't want to be a man's only choice. So if a woman say, how come I'm the only woman you talk to? That's going to let her know you're desperate and you can't get other women. And it doesn't matter if that woman like you. The problem is she want to see you talk to other women. And even if she gets jealous or insecure, she would actually prefer you do that, even though it sounds stupid to do. She would rather you to do the shit so she can know, okay, there's other women that like them. See, women like men that have other women talking to them versus I'm the only woman that you're